What up, barbecue fans, lovers of Mother Earth? Just wanted to, I always kind of laugh at these car videos. So, you know what? I figured I'd kind of do one myself. Even after I posted one that I did from a year ago that I never posted about calling out the reporter. So, here's another one. And a lot is happening on the solar issue, especially with the DNR, right? So the DNR, it was found out here in Gaylord in Otsego County, was looking to lease 400 acres of their public trust land. And if people don't know, the DNR is the single largest landowner in Michigan. I think they have maybe 4 million acres or something like that in total. I could be wrong, but anyways, there a lot was made about the idea of them leasing public lands in Otsego County to adjoin on a development kind of next door to it, sort of across the street, if you will, which is the development that myself and some other property owners here in Otsego County are now challenging in local court. And that's what I want to let people know about, is that anybody that wants to challenge any of these developments, and listen, not all of them are bad. You want to put them in a gravel pit or something that's not being used, great, fine, whatever. I personally, as a libertarian, I advocate for personal use. Put it on your home, put it on your business. Use parts and pieces made in the U.S. There are solar panels that are made. They're not awesome. They are sort of toxic, but they do have uses in some applications, right? Especially personal wind turbine generators. Put them on your home, put them on your business. The extra power that you create from that can be exported into the energy grid. And this is how I think Michigan should be approaching, our energy issues. Is why not figure out a way to incentivize business owners and even property owners, residential people, to put these things on your home and generate enough power for your home and then export that energy back to the grid. So instead of one gigantic industrial solar plant sitting on property across town, why not have them all? And then the liability is on you, the property owner, the business owner. If those cells break open during a storm or something like that, you can carry insurance for those things. At scale, they're just not great. That's generally why I'm opposed to them. I'm a property rights person, so I believe that you should be able to do basically whatever you should be able to do with your property within zoning. Your local zoning board is made up of people generally that you elect, or are appointed by people that you elect locally, right? And of course, I have some issues with zoning, always, as is, how these things work. But what's going on with the DNR is a couple of months ago when everything came public about this 400 acres here in Otsego County, a lot of people were rightfully pissed off, me included. So Scott Whitcomb and those guys from the DNR came out and said, we're putting a pause. And a lot of people read that as, well, we're stopping. And I knew immediately what that meant when they said we're putting a pause on looking at these developments. That just meant that what they're going to do is they're going to let the outrage wane for a little bit, and then they'll probably just start pumping these things out again. And I'm not saying that's what's happening now. It just, a FOIA request has been fulfilled, and we're now seeing the areas that the DNR and Land Trust property that they've identified as good or bad to potentially put these industrial solar, wind, and battery facilities. So what I'm telling everybody is, if there is one of these applications coming forward, or a lease agreement or anything at your township or county planning commission for one of these applications, go to those meetings and encourage your local people to pass the application for the developer. So that's what we did here in Otsego County. We went to the planning commission and we said, please pass this application for this development. Now, it seems a little counterintuitive, which it is a little bit, but what we actually want is we want the toehold in the local area. So our local circuit court now is where we can challenge. So if they had passed this, or if they had denied this application from RWE for the 45th solar development, I think maybe is the name. If they'd have denied that, that's one of the three ways that a developer can do an end around through the local, over the local zoning authority. So the local zoning authorities, whether it's township, city, county, whatever it is, there's 3 ways that that developer can go end around and go right to the Michigan Public Service Commission. This is stated right in Public Act 233. The local zoning has 120 days to approve or deny. That's 120 days. No other industry in this state gets 120 days to force an application to be heard. The second way is if that local zoning denies. If Otsego County Planning Commission had denied that application, RWE could go to the MPSC with that application and totally cut out the locals. We don't want that either. The third way is if the local zoning authority creates a CREO, which is called a Compatible Renewable Energy Ordinance. You know the government and their acronyms. So a CREO, but it's more restrictive. And that's actually, Otsego County doesn't have a CREO. They have an energy ordinance, which is pages versus the 10-page Public Act 233. Actually, I don't even think it's that long. So there's 5 requirements. That's it for the siting of new industrial solar plants. Height, sound requirements, setbacks, which is how far back from neighboring property lines these panels can be set, fencing requirements, and the last one, my favorite, so ambiguous, dark sky-friendly lighting. Now, nobody knows what that means. And I always equate it to, just like the other stuff we've talked about for years, it's really ambiguous in these laws. It'd be like the speed limit sign on I-75, which I can hear it from where I'm sitting. It would be like that speed limit sign, which says 75 up here because the legislature passed a law that says that. Instead of it saying 75, it would say a reasonable speed. Now, nobody really knows what that means. I drive roughly 82 on the freeway. That's a reasonable speed to me. So that's what the problem is in that area. So again, what I'm saying is pass these things locally, then you or get a hold of me, DM me, and we can challenge these things locally. But they need to be passed by the local zoning authority to keep the toehold local. Because what we don't want is, A, we don't want them to be able to go directly to the Michigan Public Service Commission. And we don't want them to take a challenge if we bring one forward to the Court of Claims, the swamp, right? That's just not a good place to go with one of these actions. We want to keep them local, which is exactly what we did again here in Otsego County. We got them to pass the application, and then we challenged it in local court. It's in the statute. There's no getting around it. So pass them locally. Any questions about any of this stuff, please hit me up in DM. I'm working on getting my attorney that has put this together. He's done this stuff with us for the last 4 or 5 years. And the old saying is, when I don't like to say enemy, but when your opponent is making a mistake, don't interrupt them. And that's what they've done with this PA 233. And now we see the DNR, the largest property owner in Michigan, is saying outright, we want to put these things up because we need the money, because we're not getting enough in license fees and all these other things. So they need another revenue center. And it's not going to be in my backyard. And anybody that feels the same way, please reach out to me. Please let me know if there's an application before one of your zoning boards and we can help curb these things. Because the other thing that's buried in this is all development has to stop until legal challenges are finalized. And you don't have to be a property owner. You can be a resident. Michigan Supreme Court says you do not have to be a property owner to challenge zoning ordinances, which is in part what we're doing. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my goofy car video. Once again, I appreciate you guys. Stay strong. Be relentless. And please reach out to me so we can stop these crazy things. Love you guys. See you soon.